It's time for our second annual Sherp-o-ween episode. All fun aside, we have some serious, informative conversations about the GoDaddy appraisal tool, fourletter.com market today. We discuss acquisition partnerships and lessons learned. We also discuss negotiating two offers at once, one payment plan versus an all-cash offer. Very interesting and super fun. Enjoy the show. Hope you had a great Halloween. Happy Halloween, Sherpa Network. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the DomainSherpa Sherp-o-ween review. This is a show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We have 3 segments to the review. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Next, we'll discuss in value an investor-submitted domain name portfolio. And finally, we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. Joining us today on the Domain Sherpa review is the Sherp-o-ween initiator, Adam Strong. Hi, Adam. Thank you for beginning our annual Halloween Sherpa last year. How you doing? Spider-Man, is that you? Oh, I think you have to talk.
I think I'm going to have to really fill in some words today because this is going to be just me talking.
And Shane Cultra. Hey, Shane, are you all warmed up?
Yep. I'll probably do a couple laps in between you guys talking, though.
All right. The best was pre-filming while we waited for Adam to arrive. Shane spent like the entire time warming up. Hilarious. Yes, domainers have a sense of humor and a lot of free time. Let's do this, guys. First segment of the review, what's new, Sherpas? So you're going to share one purchase or sale that you've made over the past few weeks, and we get to learn what you paid or received for the domain, why you thought it was a good deal, and how the negotiations progressed. So I know you guys have some things you mentioned that you don't want to talk about too, but tell us what you can. Let's start out with one that you legitimately want to discuss, and then we'll poke and prod. Adam, you're up first, Spider-Man. What's going on? What's new?
I got to give this a rest already. It's already killing me. I mean, that didn't take very long at all. Sorry about that.
Well, now you look like Bad Santa.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, I look terrible. All right. Actually, I will talk about a domain name that Jamie Zock had mentioned in one of his tweets a few days back. So don't go and look up Jamie's tweet there, Shane. But the domain, and since we don't have a third test, that means you got to guess. So the domain is zerodown.com. Zerodown.
Zerodown.com. And you purchased or sold it?
I sold it.
All right. Congrats. Shane, what do you think he sold it for?
Beautiful name. Really good name. I guess we'll talk about it afterward, but how long have you owned it? Since the good old days?
You know what? It has been quite a while. I'm actually looking that up right now. I think probably, good old days, 2000. Let's just say 2000. How's that sound?
Yeah, that'd be the good old days.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And in 2000, that still wasn't, that wasn't a hand reg.
Right. No, it was probably a expiring name at some point. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking it up and I'm not finding it. I was trying to find what I paid for it and I don't have it on. I started tracking probably around 2004, 2005, and I don't have it on my list from my depreciation schedule, if you will. So I don't see it. So that means I bought it pre 2004, 2005.
Long ago.
Oh, yeah, like 15 years plus. So
Nice.
But I've had a lot of inquiries over the years on the name. I just never moved it. I listed it on Afternic. That might help you out a little bit on the price. But
Well, since we talk, I know that you don't move very quickly. You don't have to move very quickly anymore. So unless they throw the right number, it's not even worth the bother. And that's such a great name that, I mean, anything that involves money, it's huge. I didn't see the price. I didn't even know if there was a price on. I can't believe I missed the Jamie's thing because that is something I look at every day. But I will say, I'll just say 150 grand. I'm just making up a number. No number will surprise me unless it's under 100. That would surprise me. But I'll say 150 grand. I think it's worth more just to the right company, but it just depends on how Adam was feeling that day. If he needed to renew his license plate or something.
yeah, there you go.
No, I think you need to go with the Spider-Man theme, Shane. What did he need to pay for? You got to find something else. New webbing? No.
That's
Clearly a new map.
I don't know what Spider-Man would spend his money on.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking this up, and I gotta backtrack this a little bit. This name actually the information was just released on this name selling, but this name I actually sold this name. Oh gosh, this shows you how prepared I am. I sold it a while ago. Let's just put it that way.
like within a year?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh God.
Well, hey, at least it's the first time that the price has been released.
It's the first time the price has been released. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
So, and it really just officially kind of became known as an entity as well. So, but yeah, so.
Okay. I'm going to go for 200K. I mean, a lot of lead gen in that. It's what every buyer wants to put 0 down. I'm just going to go with 200.
Okay. So since I sold it a while ago, the prices must have gone up rapidly. So the domain sold on Afternic. The company that's running the domain is a Y Combinator company, which is a startup incubation company. They bought the domain for.
I'm looking at the site now.
Okay, yeah. It's pretty. They're actually in the top 100, I think, of their valuation wise. So I let it go cheap. According to what you guys are saying, I let it go for 31K.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So, it's gotten a lot of inquiries over the years, but it just never moved. And I think at some point, last year, some point, I just started listing all my names for sale on Afternic, and I took them down this year. I had made a few mistakes, and that maybe this one's one of those mistakes. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm still okay with the price. I don't even know what I paid for it. So 30K in the pockets. Believe me, it covered the price.
Sure.
Yeah,
so it was listed on Afternic, it was just a buy it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
no negotiation. No.
Is it 31K? That's a weird number for a buy it now. Why?
I know, right? It's actually it was 31,250 to be precise. I don't know. I have no idea. I probably priced it. I probably tapped on some cash on the front end to cover it to 20, to just make it like kind of close to 25. Because my net was less, obviously. So.
Do you generally recommend listing at a weird price like that?
I don't really think it matters when somebody wants something really bad.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
It's an interesting, the company's an interesting concept. They buy the home. You want a house, they go and buy it from you, and then you lease it from them, which I'm not sure what that is other than you do the work finding a good house.
Yeah.
And then sign a contract to pay them. But it's definitely an interesting, and of course, anything that starts in the Bay Area doesn't mean anything, because the Bay Area is its own little world. Just because it works in the Bay doesn't mean it works everywhere.
Right. Well, I can't remember what their valuation was, but it's pretty high.
It's 150 million, I believe, here. And it's looks like, I mean, there's is this on TechCrunch for something? Yeah, a plan from just a couple days ago that they plan to take on Zillow. So yeah,
everybody plans to take on Zillow.
well, they've raised 30 million in total equity funding, more than 110 million in debt financing. Bay Area homes, I don't know how far that's gonna go.
Yeah,
interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to watch. And you know what? They have equity in the domain. That's a great thing for startups. They have equity in the domain if things don't work out with the startup itself.
I think the $150 million payback will be a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31,000 is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
All right. And just so you know, like since GoDaddy sold it, it's kind of funny because I had to go back into Elliot just wrote an article about this domain appraisals from GoDaddy and how much that domain was worth. GoDaddy sells a domain and then they appraise it for less than they sold it for. So GoDaddy is actually appraising. Hold on a second, I had it up here and now I lost it.
Well, here's what's even worse is I buy them from their NameFind portfolio, and then they put it in the similar domains and the sale price. So if you go look
right,
and see what I bought Botany for, or propagation, or whatever names I'm getting from them, it tells the exact, you type in a name that's similar, and it'll tell you exactly what I paid from them 10 years ago, which doesn't help me sell the domain.
Right. So GoDaddy has this listed. So Zero Down is in GoDaddy's appraisal tool, listed at 14,943 appraisal. And then over on the right, because it was sold for more than 25K, it just says more than comparable domains sold, zerodown.com, more than 25,000. So yeah.
So it's not very smart.
Let's pick on GoDaddy again, because there haven't been many podcasts about GoDaddy lately.
Well, come on. You have to admit, it's not a hard if-then statement to write in your code that if you sell it, that maybe you should raise the price above what you're,
well, you got, actually Botany is worth more than, it's valued more than.
Well, at least it's worth more, but then someone says, hey, you bought it right here for.
Oh, I got you. I
think it'd be a great idea for GoDaddy to have a page, an article, something, and definitely info underneath their appraisal that says, listen, this is automated. There may be other factors, especially for higher value domains. I mean, that would be very simple.
I like if somebody buys something from NameFind, I can pretty much type it in and find out what it sold for. But
as long as it's under 25.
Yeah. If it's under 25, you're right.
On the whole, yeah. I guess that pads their, secrets, if you will. So no other company, NameBio, comes and scrapes and grabs more data from them.
So clarify this for a minute. So if it sells on NameFind over 25,000, GoDaddy doesn't ever share that data?
No, it just says over 25,000.
It just says on the screen, I'm looking at Botany. I pulled up and there's 3 names, and Botany, what it sold for is on there. Forage is on there. What it sold for is 20, and Forest.com. And Forest.com sold for more than 25K. So if it's over 25K, it just says more than 25K. So could Forest.com could have sold for, I don't know, $2 million, and they just put more than 25K. So they leave this like.
And where are you going to look for that, Adam?
GoDaddy's appraisal tool, not a very good domain name, not a very good URL, but it's GoDaddy.com/domain-value-appraisal.
Or just Google it.
/appraisal. Yeah, or just Google it like I do. But I think they're going for a little bit of the SEO value in that URL.
Okay. So once you run the actual appraisal, then you're looking at the comparable names sold, but they
give you 3. They give you 3 on the side. Or, if you're looking for comparables, there's a few other places, or there's one other place you can go. It's a great place. Spider-Man recommended, NameBio.com. Okay.
NameBio gives you the info and lets you pick your own appraisal value.
Right, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah, so those are name find, but some of those names are name find domains. Like Shane said, he just bought Botany, and that was a name find name, and it's actually listed there.
Look up uncomfortable. Look at uncomfortable.com. I bought that. See if that comes up there. I think it did too.
Lost me around.
Uncomfortable.com. Is that the name you're going to discuss? Oh, I like uncomfortable.com, so the comparable domains, unhappy.com and damned.com.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does it show the actual price of uncomfortable?
Yeah. Does that make you uncomfortable?
10 grand or something?
Yeah.
9.5. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to talk about it. I just, anytime I buy something from the name find, it shows up. And I'm like, man, not that any of the buyers would know to look there, but.
Good majority of them might.
Yeah.
Something good to know as an investor that you're going to get put in that position if you're buying through GoDaddy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could request not to have.
Yeah.
That's another thing that Paul can think about.
Yeah. Or at least put the date that it says it was 10 years ago or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Do you think this tool has something built in that only pulls? So like, when you look at the MLS or real estate, it only is able to pull from a certain time frame. Do you think the tool has that built in? Have you noticed comparable?
But I could figure that out because they've got. See, they've got old names that I sold on Afternic. So let me pull up like one of my really old Afternics and see.
Yeah, I mean those names I bought. I don't know how time flies. I have no idea how long it's been, but it's recent enough. I think they'd show it.
Okay, zerodown.com, just threw it in there.
Yep.
They put sold for more than 25,000 as a comparable. It is its own comparable.
Yeah.
But then it also says estimated value $14,943.
Right.
You killed it, man. You doubled that up.
They downgraded it.
And you know what, Adam? They like your weird numbers, apparently.
Right.
$943.
Yeah, I just threw the algorithm off there.
Very specific. Yeah, I like that, Adam.
So
Always shaking it up.
I sold, just to give you another one, I sold, forgive me for bringing up an old one, but it came up in the news, so I just thought I'd throw that one out there. But I did sell another one just to go back into GoDaddy's appraisal tool. This is a geo-specific one that I don't mind sharing, but I sold Los Angeles Pest Control, and this was back in 2017. I sold it for, you can go to GoDaddy and see what I sold it for. But you can see there it's $6,250, but GoDaddy again appraises it for $1,477.
Wow. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they're using, obviously I killed it on that one, but they're clearly using in their algorithm other comparable city names that sold. But hey, Los Angeles is also like, I don't know, a little bit bigger than Nashville and Albuquerque that are listed there. So.
And it actually appraises it. This is even weirder. So not only does it not pull the fact that you sold it for $6,250 into the value, but it's comparing it to Nashville Pest Control and Albuquerque Pest Control,
right,
which are much smaller cities, but they sold for $1,800 and $1,500, and they appraised Los Angeles Pest Control at lower than Nashville or Albuquerque.
That's because it's an algorithm.
I know why. That's because it's longer, right? There's more letters.
Huh.
just bad. I don't know. But
they knew to pull in the geo from the other stuff.
Right.
I mean,
it doesn't have like green pest control or.
Without beating them to a horse, we know that they're not putting tons of time. There's not some group sitting in a room working on the algo at night like Google or something. They're just using it as a tool.
I don't know. I disagree with that because I think that if they're smart, they're using it for a secondary purpose. This might be like a completely tertiary purpose to use their appraisal tool, but they've got to have something that they use internally to purchase names when they buy portfolios and things of that nature. Yep. So, they have to have something intelligent to make those decisions as well. But, and sometimes people forget that, this is what they may be using as a guide to how they're going to sell domains. So, I don't know.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
They got to provide all the people they can't just let everybody go by what they think. They got to give them something to go by.
Right.
I just think it would be spectacular if they also included in there, like just on this page with the results, listen, this is automated. There may be other factors, and they could even put in there, contact us to learn more, or,
Right.
or only if it's a domain, ironically, at a certain value, then they put that in, or who knows.
Right.
But, I think GoDaddy's always growing, and
And I appreciate it as a tool. I won't lie. When I go through a list and I'm searching, I use their valuation and work down, because it does flag names that are better than others that are either not old or get mixed in a giant list of 12,000. So it is an extra helpful sorting tool when you're going through an expiry list, in my opinion. So I like it. I don't mind it at all.
Where are you using it?
And expireddomains.net.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. They pull in the GoDaddy appraisal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't used it for a while. I haven't been doing a lot of buying lately. So
Yeah, but it is helpful. Anytime you can have another search, something to search through, another way to break it down and to dig down, it's helpful. And like I said, like I was going to say, I'm smart enough to figure out what I think is real or not. I know it's automated. I don't take it as the gospel, and I'm not going to complain about it. I do think, like I said, though, if something sells for a certain price, then obviously you should take that into consideration. And maybe they do and it doesn't affect it, but it shouldn't be less than what it already officially sold for.
Yeah, I just think GoDaddy has a lot of power in end user education. Like domain investors know, but GoDaddy in particular with their brand recognition has so much power in helping to grow the whole industry and educating end users with the trust that that the general public globally puts in them. So
yeah, there's
develops over time. It's just like, go ahead.
Sorry, Tessa. There's a page that kind of explain. It's not on the actual. So when you search for GoDaddy's appraisal tool through Google, it gets you to the appraisal tool. But I just clicked on. There's a bar across the top that says domain appraisal, like on the menu, and you click that, and it takes you to another page that has like kind of what you're talking about, which is an explanatory thing. Which I think you're absolutely right. Like it kind of needs to be explained a little bit. Maybe they could think about like putting a link because somebody's coming in through that channel through GoDaddy's, Google ad or their Google listing. They're not going to necessarily see this explanation page. This explanation page is pretty decent about, where the appraisals come from and comparing them to real estate and things like that. So there is an educational portion of this, and it's quite a long, hefty page.
Wow. Where is that? Well, I'm sure it's great for SEO. Where is that?
So, gosh. So if you're on the
link.
Yeah, actually, if you go to take off, if you're on the appraisal page, just at the first hyphen, so it should be godaddy.com /domain-value-appraisal, and then hit that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you see all that stuff at the bottom.
Oh yeah. This is great.
Yeah. So I guess that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
I call him famous domainer, as if there is anything. But most people don't know this person. But we were talking about appraisals, and he said, in the absence of any data is good data.
Yep.
The metrics, even if you don't like the appraisals, there's still something. At least you have something to bitch about. So, but in the absence of that, what is there?
Yeah,
So,
you got to start somewhere, and GoDaddy does a good job with that. And that's why I was like, they're always growing. And this whole industry is just building bit by bit by bit off of nothing. So,
Right.
All right, Shane, what'd you buy or sell lately?
Really nothing.
I know that's not even true.
Well, I'm so boring that, I'll just, and this isn't going to help anybody other than just to start a story, but I've been buying I'm back to buying 4letter.coms as a store of value. So I bought, just to talk about where they're at, I bought TLSA. Yeah, it's not Tesla, TLSA.com yesterday or the day before. And see if anybody knows.
I noticed on GoDaddy's aftermarket, I was just scrolling the entire list. I usually pretty much every 6 or 7 days I'll go in there and just click my favorites that are on the multiple bids or whatever. I've noticed a lot of 4 letters popping up in there and getting action, but as if, they've always kind of had that action. I had my tool up because it just alerted me that something that I'm tracking is coming up for auction. But
Shane, your face, Adam. I had my tool up.
I know what he meant.
All right, I'm done. I'm out. That's it.
Me too.
Yeah, because my tool was up. But yeah, I have. You bought it probably at GoDaddy. $400.
I no longer even know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
What?
Four letter TLSA.
Four letter. Got it.
Tesla without
TLSA.com. 400 bucks. So you already know. So Shane, okay, first of all, why are you rebuying 4 letters? Has anything changed in the 4-letter market, or this is just things have changed in your personal?
No, I mean, so when I first started doing it back in 2000, I don't know, 2000s, I used to read the blog. Remember this one, Adam, 4-letter noob by, oh gosh, now that I have to say his name out, I can't say it. He wrote the first blog that I read about domains, and he used to like 4 letters because they were kind of like stocks and they were trackable, and certain letters were worth more than others. But I bought them not even thinking about end users, thinking about just liquidity. They were easy to buy and sell. So being new, since I didn't know what I was doing, I knew that I could always get out of a 4letter.com and not really lose too much money. But there was a chance that I could make money. And I kind of stopped doing it because I started getting into words. But then the words started getting super expensive. So I just kind of did nothing for the first part of this year. And then I realized that 4 letters were pretty low at the beginning of this year. They dropped to as low as they've been in the last 4 or 5 years. And there's just some letters that are good. Like if they end in C and they end in A and they end in I and they have good solid letters, they just don't seem to lose value from here. So if you can get something for 400, 500, or 1,000, are you going to make 50,000? Probably not. But you're probably not going to lose very much either. So I've just been using 4 letters like a store of value. So I'll buy it. In this case, I actually bought it for 1,000. I wasn't the winner. I think it went for like 1,800. But then I got the email saying that the main bidder backed out and I was the second person and I could have it for that price. And for $1,000, again, it ends in an A for association. It's not bad. It's pretty good letters. So I took it for $1,000. And I probably won't lose money on it. I'll just hold it. And if I want to put it back for auction, I think I could get a couple hundred if I did. But I've been doing that. I've been buying 1 or 2 every month for 10 years. And now I've got hundreds of them. And let's say they're worth $800 or $1,000 a piece. Now I have $150,000, $200,000 worth of liquidity that I could get rid of tomorrow and get my money back. So I've always had that little, I don't know what you call it, but that little side part of domain investing where I feel comfortable that no matter what goes on, I'll probably be able to get some cash. And that's my version of domain Bitcoin, I guess you'd say.
Nice.
And I sell them every once in a while. I'll sell 4 a year for $7,000 a piece. And that pays for what I do normally too. So there is profit in that as well. So that's kind of my explanation. I've probably said it 20 times on this show, but I stopped doing it. But then I realized it's like investing. If you stop doing it, then you miss the highs and lows. If it gets low, you should probably still keep doing something. If it gets high, maybe you should sell. And that's the other story is, it was reported when Frank Schilling during the big Chinese rush sold 1,000 4letter.coms to an investor for, we'll just say whatever, but it was over $1,000 because it was really hot. If you go to the auctions now, you'll notice the Unit Registry is buying 4letter.coms and replacing those thousands at 500 and 600 and 400 and 700. So that was a super smart move as they sold when they conceived it high, but knew that they wanted to refill the coffers and they've been picking at it and filling right back up with the same thing for cheaper. So that's really how you do it. I'm not that good yet, but that was really brilliant.
That you watch that and apply it to your own.
Absolutely.
Wow. Good.
Really good move. So they essentially got I don't know, do my numbers, $10 million. No, is that right? 1,000, a million? Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah, thousands.
Yeah, not it.
So $1 million and they're going to get it back for $500,000. So they'll make 500 grand over 3 years. That's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam, you recently had a great sale that you don't want to talk about. What can you tell us?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're not getting away just with 0 down.
Yeah, it was a phrase. Gosh, I'm even.
Hold on, this skull cap's killing me. 1 second.
Yeah, well, it was a recent one. What the heck was it? Hold on a second. I've actually been on a little bit of a vacation to irritate some people at GoDaddy and Afternic. I took all not really, but we took a little bit of a family vacation, and I took all my names down, and just been kind of chilling. But I did get a pretty decent sale recently, and it came in. It was a direct inquiry. It was negotiated a little bit, and interestingly, during the negotiations, we were kind of going back and forth, and they didn't like the price, and I think I priced kind of in the high, maybe even the 6 figures. I'm not quite sure. So that kind of caps you for the price. I'm not going to tell you what the price is, but we were going back and forth, and then we were going to put them on a payment plan, and randomly out of nowhere, a second buyer came in. And so we were on a payment plan with them, and then the second buyer came in and said that they wanted to do an all cash deal, but they had offered less cash. So it's kind of pretend it's $100,000 sale, and it was over 3 years, 4 years time. The other buyer came in, and let's say they offered 50 grand cash. So it was kind of a predicament. What do you take? Because I've had quite a few of these, over time deals back, down, and then you're kind of stuck, not stuck, but you got the domain back. And so I made the decision to, push both parties at the same time, and got the one that wanted to do the payment plan to do an all cash deal. And so the name is Digital Trust.
Ooh.
Based on what you guys gave the 0 down price, I'm going to imagine that you would have priced, if I hadn't given you the cap there. Shane, did you hear the price cap that I gave?
No, I didn't hear the cap part.
Okay.
Good, we're not telling you.
I can rewind it.
Yes. Digital Trust.
Oh, if it's Bitcoin money, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Yeah. That Bitcoin money doesn't have a cap.
But it can't be Bitcoin money if somebody was looking at a payment plan.
Oh, well, true. I guess that's true. That's a very good point.
But, trust is incredibly important. And it's interesting that you had 2 parties at the same time. I'll bet you they could be in completely unrelated fields too, because everybody wants to grow their digital trust.
Well, my question is, how did you convince the other party to believe that there really was a second party? Because
it's honestly, that was the most difficult thing. First, we told them, look, we've had a lot of interest in this domain. It's going to have to be a 6-figure number to get us any kind of negotiation going. At least a high 5-figure. And I think they started out around, I'm going to guess 20, somewhere in that ballpark. And then, no, we can't afford it. We're a startup, the same story.
Yeah.
I've had multiple instances of this. And even when I'm on the buy side, working for a client, I always tell my clients, look, you may think that they're BSing you about a second buyer. It doesn't matter what you think, and a lot of times I've run into cases where they're like, that's just a negotiation strategy, and we lose the domain. I didn't. I don't know how we convinced them. I just said, we've got a secondary offer, and we're going to take it if you guys don't take this offer. So it worked, but it was true. I don't know. And it was, we didn't say, hey, we're going to take this secondary offer. We just said we have an all cash offer that we're considering. can you give us an all cash offer that's better than what you'd offered previously? And I think that's kind of what sealed the deal. I don't know, from the buy side, it's always, I would always think it to be BS too. So, you're absolutely right, Shane. There's,
Yeah, because when somebody says to me, and I'm not really serious about it, where I just kind of think and I go, yeah, go talk to them then.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead and take it.
I guess you have to be, either side of the equation, you have to be willing to walk at some point. And so if you're on the buy side and somebody's, yeah, we got a better offer and, can you go up? No, I've given my best offer and see you later. And, sometimes they'll come back and you learn quickly who you're dealing with and, that they're a liar.
It always falls through when I deal with them. They're like, oh, the other person fell through, or they were trying to pay in,
Right. Yeah. Some made up story, right?
Coin or something.
But it's funny, and I agree with you on, and ironically, this entire conversation is about trust right now. But while I agree that on the buy side, I don't believe it when somebody says there's another offer. On the other end, I always wonder when another offer comes in, if it's the same party. Sometimes it's a different entity within the same company that isn't, especially if it's a big company that isn't talking to each other. Sometimes they want to try you out on a totally different field. I mean, I would say it doesn't happen very often, but I've seen it enough. And sometimes they really show their hand by accident.
Right. So we had this, I've been negotiating a domain with that situation. And I think what they did was, this is another reason to use one entity, one buyer broker. I'll say that Jen with my company Evergreen does a great job. But if you've got a bigger company and you start to, like the CEO thinks he's the hot shot, he's going to go get it. And then in their board meeting, the CTO thinks, hey, that's my responsibility. And then you got two guys going after the same thing. Yeah, bad.
They bid each other up.
Right. They're bidding each other up. But we had this situation where somebody had hired a buyer broker, probably hired you, Tessa. And then we went and got that bidder, or got that person to bid up and negotiate a deal. And then somebody comes in out of nowhere. And so we were going back and forth. And then that person, the second person says, well, hey, the first person it works for me. Well, why are you outbidding them? Why are you even, and then they backtrack and then, well, we're not going to give you that money. And I go, well, you're full of it. The second person wasn't you. You're just saying that because you want to push back the price back to the original person's bid. And no, it is us. It's us. And I go, well, I'm not playing the game. I'm done. And so it's been a year. So they keep going back and forth. And so now he's saying, let's say his name, the first guy's, it's Tess, the first person, Peter, the second guy. Now there's a third guy saying, well, Peter doesn't work for our company anymore. We fired him because he couldn't get the deal done. Now can you get a deal done with us? So no, I don't even want to work with you guys. So anyway, there's situations like that happen all the time. And I still don't know whether Tess, Peter, and Bob are all the same people, because they're all BSing me. At some point, your BS is going to come back.
Trust. It's necessary.
Yeah, no trust.
Right. Now, I do want to point out, Shane, we're going to cheat. Just to factor in before you guess the price that GoDaddy values it at $9,928.
Well, that's all it's worth then.
Okay.
I assume that's what it sold for.
Okay. Sorry, Paul. I couldn't resist that one.
Yeah, I bought this name originally because we were doing some things in this sector with domains and, trying to build trusts for people. So trust in a different sense.
Domain Guardian's name.
Yeah, the Domain Guardians. Yeah. So I thought digital trust.
Oh my gosh, Adam, is that like a superhero reference? I mean, I've always known, Domain Guardian, no. But given your affinity for superhero costumes.
No.
All right. Okay. Sorry.
No. Guardians came from, somebody being in charge of somebody's assets after their passing or whatever. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just no tribute there. That's fine. Just never heard of it before.
Not at all.
Just checking.
That's all right.
Domain Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
I know, right?
Guardians of the
Where's your
Galaxy.
cape this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't entrust my digital assets to someone in a cape. But anyway, okay, so digital trust. I'm guessing.
Well, we can guess a price. I thought we couldn't say it.
I'm not gonna say.
We can still guess.
4 million.
Are you gonna like wink twice?
Close.
I guess 70K. Oh look, he did that with his nose.
That's the
L.
Well, considering, I'll say 122K. So there. Now we get nothing.
Six figures.
Yeah,
You
you guys are right in the ballpark, right?
Guessing.
So,
There you go. We're in the
All right.
ballpark.
Yeah.
Okay, we're closer than GoDaddy's appraisal. Shane, you know what? We've talked for a long time. Even though I want to push you on another recent sale, we should move on. Darn it.
Yeah, I haven't had I haven't been as.
Sale, I meant purchase.
don't be a chicken.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can say, I said it on the blog, so it's public that Travis and I bought Cluck.com, and we love it as a brand, but yeah, it's not best.
What? You bought what?
Wait, what the cluck did you buy?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Cluck.
Was that part of your tool set?
Exactly. I know, that's what I'm kind of known for, is my tool. So
Most
tool-
of them are disappointed that for this
my tool chest.
dress up as a chicken.
Known for being a tool.
Yeah, exactly true. That's very true. Absolutely. Yeah, the problem is my tools don't sell very well. I should say I get orders for car parts on Monkey Wrench literally every day. People, really? It's the craziest thing. Now, I have a minimum of like $800, and people will type in, that seems expensive for brakes, but I'll take this model for this model, and try and order it through the offer page.
You should get some, go through Alibaba and get some, plastic wrenches made or something. And
exactly. Yeah, no, it's the offer page on Monkey Wrench is literally an auto parts store of ordering.
Okay, stop changing the subject. Cluck.com.
Oh yeah, Cluck.
If you don't want to talk about the price, what about the partnership? Why a partnership? And how do you arrange a partnership? What do you think the Sherpa Network would like to hear about that?
Well, I think it's very difficult for partnerships unless you, back to trust, completely trust the person that you're working with, unless you want to make it super official and get paperwork and lawyers and
which can slow down the acquisition process or make you totally.
And it becomes a nightmare. I mean, like if you talk to Travis is an investor in lots of other real estate. I can't remember the number he said, but it's somewhere in the hundreds of K1s at the end of every year for all his different things, because he has to set them up as individual entities. And on domain names, I mean, officially you probably should, but the names I set up are with people that if it goes to hell, then it goes to hell. I mean, we're going to be out a little bit of money, but it's not worth it unless you're doing a bunch of stuff to set up the paperwork. And then if you put it in
trust. This is your longtime partner at DSAD. What did you decide first? Did you first decide that you guys wanted to go in together on a domain and then look for the domain? Or did you first see the domain opportunity and decide to go in together?
So
wait, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
That's a good one. I found
Adam.
I had the name first in this case, but we own several domains where whoever finds it first says to the other one, hey, what do you think of this name? It always starts off with, do you like the name? And then they'll say, yeah. And then once they say, yeah, if they really like it, they'll say, hey, can I have half that, or do you want to go in together? And the reason is there's several different reasons. One, you can be part of good names and not have as much outflow of cash into the name. So you can have more exposure to different names for less money. Two, it's kind of fun to partner because you kind of you have another person hunting on certain occasions. If they're, they can keep it to themselves, but you find two people finding different various names that you can be a part of. So that part's kind of nice. And again, I've had it with several people. Adam and I had done a name together. There's probably 4 or 5 people that I've done names together, and it's I've never had a bad experience yet. I really haven't had a bad experience. Nobody screwed each other over.
But you're careful with your partners with
100%. But, I've been doing this long enough that there's a lot of guys that I really like and I consider friends, but there's probably a handful that I would put my money together and feel 100% confident that nothing's going to go wrong. And even if something went wrong for some reason, that person would figure it out and make it right.
Okay.
I think Shane and I are partnered on it, and, he's a minority in terms of and I end up making the decision, but I think it's kind of like, if the roles were reversed, I would trust that, whatever it doesn't, kind of like, if we bought it for 20 grand and he sells it for 100 and I think it's worth 250, we might have a little discussion about, what we're doing and why, if Shane needed the money for some reason and I didn't, whatever. I think you really have to know who you're dealing with. I actually have been partnered with multiple people as well. And, no joke there. But in one of the cases, we probably had 10 or 15 names, and I held them all, and we were 50-50, which is really, in a partnership, everyone knows that that's not a good situation to be in. But, fortunately I was just really worried because I knew this person, needed money and, he wanted to, get out, and, he just basically gave me a price that he thought was fair and I thought was fair. And I just ended up buying them all back. But along the way, we sold one for, maybe a couple $100,000. And, it kind of, made everything else, selling all the rest of them, just kind of a wash. But it is, I think it's difficult, the old saying is, the only ship that can't float is a partnership. But, in this industry, a lot of these guys have known each other for quite a long time. And I think you'll see any of the Sherpas that come on here, I would venture to guess, have some sort of relationship or partnership with some other domainer. And I think that's just kind of commonplace. But I mean, because you want to get in on, everybody wants to get in on somebody else's, this guy's got a good eye for this. And, I want to get on his 3-letter train or 4-letter train or whatever. So I think it's pretty common. I've talked to a few guys who have gotten burned. But, again, it's a small space, and getting burned, everybody kind of figures it out pretty quickly, who not to deal with. So.
Why? So, 50-50 partnership generally isn't ideal. Why did you enter into that anyway?
I think early days, kind of.
Okay. So if you had to do it again,
we're both chasing drops, and it's like Shane said, you're both chasing different things, and one guy sees it and the other guy didn't on NameJet or whatever, or Snap Names. Back when Snap Names, you had to get your bids in ahead of time. He's got a list of 20 names. He's like, I don't have enough money to pay for all of these. Should I still bid on them? Sure. Yeah, I'll back you up. And so,
but you wouldn't do that again. So lesson learned.
Yeah. I just think in any case, if you're okay with giving up being a minority shareholder or whatever, it's like shares, if you're okay with the decision the other person makes because they're technically the majority shareholder, when you got a 50-50 split, you just end up at a deadlock, and there's not, then that's the possibilities of legal can always come in. But at a 50-50 split, if one guy wants to do one thing and the other guy wants to do something else, so what do you do?
Yeah,
so it's
gotcha.
Difficult, I think. It's always going to be difficult in some regard. Shane wants to put adult content on our domain, and I keep telling him no. So.
Sex sells. That's what I'd lead every conversation with.
Cluck.com.
Yeah,
we know what you're doing
with
that.
And I will say, I do have to convince Adam. I don't say pessimistic, but I do, when it comes to partnerships, I have to convince Adam that it's going to be fine. That that it'll work out okay, because he was
every situation provides an opportunity for learning, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation.
That's
and now that you mentioned it, I will say that all my partnerships, every single one, I don't feel that the other side has any need for money. That's really not in even close to a bad place that I feel like at some point they're going to have to get out, unless it's some really major, crazy, off the wall thing. But I would be the weak point if people saw hey, does this person want to get out? But you definitely don't want to be with a partnership where you have to come up with some buy-sell agreement, because you think right off the bat that the other side won't be able to stay in long enough for the full haul. You definitely don't want to be in that.
Yeah. The partnership with the 50-50, we're talking about, maybe, 10 to 15 names with a total in of a couple $1,000s. Now the total, we made, multiple, there was a 6-figure deal thrown in the mix, and I think I ended up buying the portfolio for maybe 5 figures. So, probably a total, low 6-figure portfolio. But again, this person, it wasn't inconsequential. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say 6 figures is chump change, but yeah, it didn't matter to him in terms of, overall. So I don't know. That's kind of weird to say, I guess.
But the thing is, if somebody wants to get out, that's when it becomes difficult.
Yeah, you don't want desperation. Desperation means that there's going to be problems. So yeah. I think you just have to know who you're dealing with, and I think always one party owns the domains in the who is sense too. So maybe one party has the domains in their who is, and the other party monetizes the domains or something. There's got to be some sort of way to do it. I think in our case, in the original partnership, I think we both put our names on the who is, but only one of us had the domains in their account.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anything ever would have happened in a legal sense, it's amazing that in this day and age that we don't have a way to split a domain ownership in the who is. It's like, what is the purpose of ICANN and VeriSign if they can't do, we've got domain assets that are worth $30 million and you can't split the assets into.
They want you to form a LLC and do it all on your own.
Yeah, but still only one person has control,
can you do that with a house?
Titling, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. There's 2 people on my title.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just sold a car and I had to have my wife sign, both of us had to sign everything. So, we were.
Well, that was to make sure you had enough money to buy the car.
I sold the car.
She had to co-sign for you.
Right.
Well, when he walked in there looking like Spider-Man, they were a little unsure.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sherpas. Let's talk about our sponsors who support us in our mission to educate the domain industry.
First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
All right, time for part 2, domain portfolio review. Richard in the UK sent these over. Big thank you to Richard for sending in a donation to the Fred Hutch Cancer Research. That is so important. And, you Sherpas come here for free. We do it all, for a good cause, but this is an extra good cause. So thank you, Richard. All right. Shane, you're up first this time. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I'd like to thank Richard for the Fred Hutch donation, because I think that's the bright point of this segment, that he gave some money to a great hospital. And I just don't like it. I looked through it. You should never giggle when you see a list. Shouldn't be your initial thought as you look at it and just start laughing. There's nothing here. If I had a company, that's how I always start. If I had a company or I want to start a website and I look through the list and say, you have to pick one of these to start your company or to build your site on, I didn't see any. The only thing I saw sounded like a flu shot was called Fluella. And I felt like I could see a commercial of some kind of flu prevention or post-flu product that maybe could be sold out. The rest are brutal. I feel like he just went out one night and had a couple beers and picked out some things. So I don't even see these on drop list. Resign tomorrow would be, I did see that and think Donald Trump immediately. Could be a pretty good,
but one's today, not tomorrow. And how do you monetize that?
Well, you got to
besides
give them
talking about politics?
24 hours. Well, I think it'd just be a marketing. Yeah, monetize, no, but I think that somebody might buy that from them for a couple $100. And he may, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He might be able to pay for the whole thing by selling that one if everything was a hand drag.
So if he puts that up at a buy it now, what price? What do you
$500, $500, and hope some big liberal crazy, person buys it and wants to use it immediately.
Okay.
So $500.
Okay.
And he's got to get it done soon, according to the testimonies. No, I'm just kidding.
There's still time.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's.
All right.
I think Tess, I think you were right on that. Resign tomorrow. I think it's like you don't want a call to action to be
Tomorrow.
later. Do it later.
Tomorrow.
Don't
That's
do it
a very
now.
good point. Resign.
Later.
I'm going to give you a day to get your stuff.
Yeah. Hand in your notice when you feel like it.
All right, you're right. I take back
Don't
everything I
rush
say.
Yeah.
It's a,
Don't let the door hit you on the way out tomorrow. Is it my turn? Sorry.
Yeah, you just all you. Pound the
it.
growth.
Take it from here. All right. I think you're mean, Shane. I think you have caught the Drew meanness. Look, the portfolio isn't all that great. No doubt about it. I'm going to guess he's just starting out. I don't know where these names came from, but you could find better names than this on GoDaddy's domain and aftermarket expirations.
Just because you say it nicer doesn't make it nicer.
No, here, let me back it up a little bit though. I think there's names that are kind of on the verge. Like I think, like resign tomorrow is on the verge. Like you're kind of getting the drift of it. Like you're trying really hard, but you're just not quite there. You got to get you got to get things that are, you got to get phrases that are commonly used. And I think a long time ago when I sat down with a friend that was like kind of getting into the domain space, he's like, what should I buy? And I said, buy stuff that other people want. Like, hey, Shane, I know you've said something along the same lines, but you go to the GoDaddy auctions, look at all the things that are being bid on. If other people are bidding on it, that's another person that if you buy it, that's another person you could sell it to, right? And if there's 52 bids on there, there's 51 of them that you could sell to. I don't see any on here that probably would get any kind of notice like that. I still think that there's a possibility, like in a few of them. But, in particular, all of these are kind of like right on the edge. Fix your OCD, that's kind of on the edge. My son happens to have OCD. I kind of get the drift of that one, but it's not, OCD remedies or OCD therapy or OCD anything. It's fix your OCD is kind of like you don't really, OCD is something that you don't really fix on your own.
And it pigeonholes, it's only your OCD, not your son's OCD,
Yeah, OCD fix OCD is shorter, it's quicker, I don't know. They're all kind of on the edge. Debtlessly sounds kind of like a brandy type of thing for getting out of debt. It just doesn't roll off the tongue the right way. I don't know what an air con fixer is. Maybe it's something that I should know about, but I don't. If it is something that sounds like a product, maybe you're on the right track there. I think these are all just barely on the edge. I mean, like you mentioned, well, it does sound like some sort of, flu remedy or something, but you can't, if you're going to buy 25 names, you can't have a portfolio of all names like this that are on the edge. You have to start kind of getting closer to a name that actually makes sense and that people want. Price Axe sounds like a brand, but there's probably, you go to Squad Help or any of the other brand oriented sites and you look up something on price and there's probably 1,000 price oriented names. Price / obviously sounds better than Price Axe. I mean, Axe just, I don't know.
Because
There's
it's a verb and axe isn't really.
Yeah. And there's just something linguistically. I mean, I could visualize a logo for Price Axe. I could also visualize a logo for Price / Axe just doesn't have and people will type AX. They won't type AXE. proper haircuts, it just, it
Screams British.
It sounds a little bit Euro. Yeah, exactly. First stretcher.
That's interesting, because I was going to say that for several things. So if you're in a different country, basically
Right.
the U.S. does most domain transactions, but don't box yourself in with
Right.
hand in your notice. We don't call it notice. And there's another one here that's very
Trouser fix.
Yeah.
Shane calls them trousers. I don't know.
My trousers aren't fitting.
Wait, Shane, is this the part of the episode where you show us the Speedo you're wearing?
This
part of the outfit?
Yeah.
That's you and Shane can take that off there, all right? Just bye.
Oh man. Oh, what the cluck.
No, that one would need a proper haircut if he was going to show you this.
I'll never be the same. Yeah. Or holiday.camp. Like, we don't call it that. It's vacation.
Right. I mean, so these do have a little bit of a European ring to them, but the weekend lettings, I mean, there are some linguistic and language oriented names that just don't ring here. So, there's a possibility that there's some room for, a UK market to purchase these. I don't know what 8K telly is.
No, it's an 8K television. That's what they call a telly for television.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
8K,
There's another Euro one. Okay. Yeah, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Jane, I think you need to do the rest of the episode in your British accent.
Exactly. But the problem is it switches between Australian and British back and forth.
Right. I think we had an episode once where I tried to do an Indian accent and I was really it was really bad. And
my Indian's pretty good, but I'm not sure if it goes from racist to just comedy. So I just don't do it at all. My wife tells me.
Right, exactly. Anymore.
The Australian English Jamaican combo is pretty funny when I do it. So I do it all the time, but we'll save it for another one.
All right, next time.
So I know, going back to the list, holiday.camp. I mean, I'm not a new TLD person, but it sounds okay. Holiday more being the European vacation. Household.pet, no.
So here's the question that everybody has. So if we go to GoDaddy auction and we see the names, that we take away the names that have all the backlinks. So if you're going to look through the names with lots of bid, get rid of the ones with backlinks, because you're not going to be able to flip those. But now they're always at $300, $400, $1,000. This person Richard didn't spend that probably on all the names combined. Where does he find names that are saleable for under $20? And my answer is it's almost impossible at this point in time for a .com. There's a reason that there's an $8 name that's left. There's thousands of other people for 20 years have mined names, and all of a sudden you're, as a new investor, going to be the person that finds the $20 gem. Doubt it. You might find one, but you're certainly not going to find 20. Yeah. So my advice would be to save up and buy a $200 name or a $300 name, if you can, $500, and take your time. And
so is there no, I think in GoDaddy, you've seen the prices, speaking of which, I was watching an auction, but you've seen the prices kind of go up. Is there nothing between registration fee and $200 anymore?
So if Travis were on here, Travis and Josh, they would disagree with me, because they have become very good at putting in back orders and catching drops that drop catch themselves don't take, because drop catch, they pick their own out first. If there's another bidder, it goes to auction. And if they don't want it and there's no other bidders, you get it. So you're kind of 3 down the road. They have been able to find names that they're selling an after Nick and later for even 5 figures, but definitely 4 figures, and profitable at it.
They're going to kill you for talking about it. They're going to kill you for talking about it.
Oh no, I mean, everybody tries it. Everybody puts it back. They're the only people I know that are successful at it. And they're also the only people that can give me numbers to prove it. Because everybody says, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm buying them. But then you ask for all their sales and those texts stop. But on those guys, I get to see it. And I don't know exactly how many they're buying. I mean, conceivably, Josh should be buying 10,000 a day and selling 3. But from what I've seen, I think they have found a model that works for them. But it's very, very hard to do. And it's very easy to buy a drop and just have them build up.
And they are experts at, the top level.
Well, it's taken them years. I mean,
yeah. So
Travis and I used to talk about not selling anything for a long time. He just couldn't get it down. And then all of a sudden it starts to come in. Right. And drops that he bought 5 years ago have become a little more valuable too, because they were drops 5 years ago and they're not drops. And they wouldn't pass through anymore.
Okay. So I want to talk to Richard for a minute. Richard, I can see, in my opinion, that you're on the cusp here. You're just about to turn to the next level. And for one moment, Adam, I thought that was a Speedo. I don't big holes. I was like, what is happening?
Well, let me tell you what I'm trying to do.
Richard, all of us. Where's Richard?
Yeah.
Right.
He's watching.
He's watching.
But before you buy a domain now or renew one, you could talk to 5 people and explain to them, if this was your company, how would you make money off of it? And so, suitrepairs.com, how would you make money off of that? And not off of any suit repair company, but that domain, when you could buy a different one yourself. Why would someone agree to pay you, $200 for themedbreaks.com? What would their business be that they just need themedbreaks.com over something else for X amount of investment? And that question is going to get you to the next level. I do want to ask guys, wildnightsout.com. I was surprised nobody mentioned that. Like $200? Put that up, buy it now? No?
Possibly. Themed breaks is, again, you got 2 guys from the Midwest talking about European names. So right away we're handicapped.
Yeah, there's been we haven't gone to a foam party. It's been weeks, hasn't it, Adam?
Yeah,
since
right.
I went?
Yeah. That, the one with the rage thing with the lights. Yeah, and the fire.
I mean, we had to grab our kids' little brake sticks to spin. It was embarrassing, but it worked.
Right.
It was
the nipple piercing thing that you had going on.
Please reenact this and send pictures.
Yeah. And he wore a shirt that said, like, Urbana can suck it. And I wore a shirt that said Springfield can suck it. And it's crazy.
Crazy. All right. Okay. But thank you, Richard.
I think he's on the verge. Like Mean Shane. Good, bad cop, good cop.
Yeah. No, he's not. We're all there. We've said this again a million times. Our portfolios all started pretty rough.
Yeah, and it's almost good connections.
I still get emails about Organibus, and none of them are offers. It's just people making fun. So
that's awesome. Okay, before we jump into domains going to auction soon, let me tell you about our sponsors who support us in our educational mission.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
So we're going to move on to the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet.com. We're reviewing domains going to auction soon. And as always, if you like a name, you need to click now to watch it or to bid on it, because once the auction starts, you can't. Adam, you're up next first this time. We've got some interesting names: headbanger.com, emergency.org, blueparrot.com. What stands out to you and why?
Yes. So I just looked at these like right now. Um, I like off
Is
the
it
top
making
of
your
my,
spidey senses tingle?
yeah, right. I was going to go somewhere bad with that. Chili.com. I like it because it's short. It's one word. It's a brand kind of sounding name.
And for our podcast, that's CHILLY,
Yeah.
chili.com.
Chili. Yeah. Not chili like
The food.
the food.
Or the different spelling like the country.
True.
Chile.
Actually, there's two different spellings for the chili that you eat too. Springfield,
Yikes.
Illinois spells it a different way. It's weird.
It's SOUP.
Yeah, right.
You're just biased towards 4 letters, Shane.
Yeah. And Springfield.
Yeah. They're all, fairly decent. I would bid on all of these. I may
That's
bid
a big
on all these.
statement.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't bid high on TV8. I wouldn't bid high on Blue Parrot, although I like Blue Parrot as a brand. I know Shane likes color animals, so I'm probably talking over the top of his thoughts. Tropical Fish Store is a little bit too long for me, although I could see it being, a niche business online. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to throw a few $100 at everything here, I would do it. I wouldn't go nuts. I haven't been on a buying spree. I would put a little bit more money on chili. I kind of like Headbanger just as a kind of a funny brand, and I'm a recovering headbanger. But the plural kind of, I don't know if the plural sounds better or not. Mega Storage I like. Physician.net not so much. TV8 not so much. Fitness Today not so much. Life Cameras, yeah, that's definitely got an adult twist to it that I think probably will push up.
I was thinking of Bear Cam, but now that you've mentioned that.
That'll push up the.
It's
I
a
think
bear cam.
Oh, I guess that could be adult too.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know anything about that, Shane. Sports coats, not so much. If you're going to buy a sports coat, hopefully you go to somebody that can.
Is it sport coat or sports coat?
Sports coats.
Oh, you're right. In real life, it should
Yeah,
be.
now that I see that, I thought it was sport coats, but yeah, that's no good.
Yeah. What about emergent? So wait, what's the one that you said you'd throw some money at? Chili.com. Define some money. So you said a couple $100 for any name, but chili would be more. What is more to you? Also,
How much would I spend on chili? Like right now, if somebody was offering it to me for sale?
no, if say, for example, perhaps it was on auction at NameJet.
It's going to go, chili's going to go in the, I'd say, I don't know. I haven't really been buying that much lately. If Cluck can go for, if Shane can buy Cluck, I would imagine chili will sell for 5 figures quite handily. So I expect it to have, I didn't even check. I expect it to have none of these have a reserve, or do they?
I don't know, but I will check right now.
I would bet I bet
okay.
most of them have a reserve.
Chili, high, low, or medium? 5 figures.
More than 30.
Okay. All right.
I probably wouldn't spend, well, I don't know. No, I probably wouldn't spend more than that. The problem is you mentioned it earlier by saying that the 3 other chilies that there are, chili, or the 2 other, chili, the soup variety, and then chili, the country, makes, the podcast listeners and anybody else, it fails the radio or the podcast test. So yeah, that kind of creates a problem. However, as a brand, if you're selling ice to Eskimos, they're going to know which chili to type.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything on here that they all are good domains. I probably, out of all of these, believe it or not, I think Live Cameras may have the best ability to flip. If you can get it for under low 5 figures, I think it has the potential to flip for 5 figures. I doubt it'll go that low, but maybe. I don't know. Again, I haven't been buying lately, so I'm just kind of out of the loop. Shane, go take it over.
Well, I think if it was live cam, it's a 6-figure name.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah,
like 7 figures for that. But
you switch to cam, so live cameras is a cheap form of buying it. But yeah, easily 5 figures. I wouldn't want to build it out because I have a family, but that's a pretty good money making name if you're in that. I like chili, but for the exact reason you said, I hate getting in names and I'm fighting with misspelling. I mean, you put all the money in and then you have to battle the marketing name of trying to make sure they know. Now, if it's a winter coat and you call it chili, it's probably not Chile or chili is in the food. But still, you hate to battle things right off the bat when you're marketing. So
it's called a homonym. I had to look that up.
A homonym?
Oh, wait, is it a homophone or a homonym? Words that sound alike would have different meanings. It's a homonym.
That's a homonym. So we're going to use that in the future. Homonyms are tough. You have to market your way out of those. So I like it, but I wouldn't be bidding on it. And same with, and again, Tropical Fish Store, it's a name that is a good bill out, and anything shippable is a better name than non-shippable, and tropical fish are definitely shippable. I think emergency.org, you can't really pick a better ending. You almost would rather have emergency.org than .com. This case, I don't know what you do with it, but we know we've got a friend that does like OSHA stuff. You know who that is, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a perfect name for like safety and defibrillators and cones and all the things. I think that's a really nice name for that. So I do think Blue Parrot's probably the cheapest one on the board that could sell, just because people are always looking for easy logo, memorable. Blue Parrot's not one you're going to really misspell. You're going to be easy to remember. It's just a clean, simple, cheap, fairly cheap name. Those used to be really cheap. I bet you it still goes for $1,000 in today's market. So it's not as cheap as it used to be. Physician, right now, I think telemed and teledocs are huge. There's really not a better business. I was talking to a doctor who's thinking about starting it up, and most doctors have no compete clauses locally. They can't, but the boundaries are within like 60 or 70 miles, and they never thought to make contracts to where these doctors couldn't moonlight online. So the doctors are all seeing holes in their contracts to do telemed, and I think it's going to be huge. But physicians isn't the word because nobody can spell it.
Yeah. It's nice to combine with the .net, but not physicians is hard to spell. What about nobody mentioned presentations.org, which we'll talk about in a second, but fitness, not tomorrow, but today, fitnesstoday.com. What do you think of that?
To me, it sounds like a brand that's already out there. I mean,
which, as long as it's not a brand that's already out there,
right.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's not a bad name, but it's pretty boring. I mean, I don't. It's a fine name. And fitness is definitely something there's not a ton of startups, but there are new fitness places in every mall and every location. So but there's not a ton of money in it. I don't think that there's going to be as much opportunity as some of the other names. Mega storage and hosting. I don't know how mega names are going. I'd have to go to NameBio and type. That's where I would use NameBio right there, is I would go to Mega and go, are people still using Mega? I go and type in NameBio and see how many local or recent Mega names have sold and for what price to figure that out.
Yeah. And actually, I have 2 things to say to Richard and anyone in Richard's shoes. Another great thing to do is pick 5 people, not like people who have the best memory in the world or something. That would be cheating. And say, tell them the domains, and then ask them an hour later, what were the domains? Or say something different. Be like, was this it? And see if they say, oh yeah, that was it. Or to say, hey, have you heard of Fitness Today? What, they came out with a new product. And if they're like, that's not a real company, or if they say, yeah, I've heard of them, that it kind of, it shows you that it could be a brand, or that people think, gee, that sounds like it could be recognized. So, because definitely we all think we've heard of Fitness Today, and hopefully we haven't, but we're not all searching that, right? Headbanger.com, what could you even do with that? Envision something for me. Like, I kind of love it, but I don't know where to go with that.
A site that sells black t-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about music. It's metal and
Old concert T-shirts or
old. Oh, jeez, those are going.
Vintage.
Yeah, it's actually.
Try and get yourself a Cinderella shirt, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
Kind of like Fluella.
What's the shoe site that just is making
StockX is killing it.
StockX. So you could be the StockX for t-shirt.
Concert T-shirts.
Yeah, there's a huge market.
Presentations.org. What do you think that somebody should bid on that?
I think Keynote or whatever. What's those? I use Keynote. What's a version of it in Word? What do you use to give presentations? Not
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Yeah. Sorry, I use Keynote. PowerPoint. That's what I think is when I think of a PowerPoint type tool. But even that .org doesn't work nearly as well as emergency. Presentations.org. What do you fundraising for people to get nervous when they talk in front of people? It doesn't. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's definitely, I say, if it's not .com, .org does at least sound like you're organized or doing it for your work. Better than .co or .net. But if that's the best justification you can come up with.
I mean, I'd take Live Cameras, Chili, emergency.org would probably be the ones I'd like to have. And if I were bidding, I would probably bid on Blue Parrot if it didn't get too crazy. The rest of them, they're fine. I mean, they're not bad at all. But I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's going to be in the same price range that each Adam and I would feel more comfortable bidding on.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm going to backtrack and say that Chili is not going to go for over 30.
Okay. Give us something new then. Once you say a number, you gotta.
Oh, if it pushes into the low 5 figures, I'd be surprised because of that. I mean, I'm sure it's got a reserve in the 5-figure range, but the homonym problem is definitely a distraction. I'm sure NameJet's really going to be excited to hear us down talking the name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you said almost every single name on this list you would buy.
Yeah. But I don't know reserves, and I didn't look to see if there were reserves, but I'm assuming there are, and that always kind of.
I mean, it's a great name to sell cold weather gear, plain and simple. I mean, that's what it's made for.
Right.
That's a great name. Would it be a brand? I don't know if I'd name my like a jacket that had Chili on it, but it'd certainly be a great place to sell
air conditioning.
Canada Goose.
Yeah. There's products you could sell.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. This was good, guys. Thank you to NameJet for sponsoring this, keeping this show going for everyone. Thank you to Richard for submitting that. Most of all, thank you to Spider-Man and possibly Michael Phelps. You guys are awesome. You look just like him, Shane. Just like him.
You guys are fella.
Adam has his backup costume on right now. His first costume was Spider-Man, but his backup is like unemployed.
Losing Central Division champions.
Yeah, I got a big game next week. LSU.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. This was a long show, but a really good one.
We talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we don't have 3 panelists, then I let you guys talk extra. But then I'm like, we could film for hours.
You should hear when Adam calls me at night. Like, have you seen Fleabag? It's such an amazing show. I'm like, Adam, I got to get to bed. Oh,
I'm
my God.
starting
so
Fleabag. Yeah.
He calls me all the time, like every night, telling me what I should binge watch. I'm like,
I just like your voice. I just like listening to you. I don't talk. I just
He's
listen.
like, I couldn't get a hold of Woody Harrelson, so I just call you.
Yeah. Shane, he's envisioning you in your Speedo. That's all.
And then I'm like, just drive over, bud. Drive over.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. Happy Halloween. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.